Hi, welcome back to iAuntie Creations, and I'm Claire. I'm glad you can be joining me. In this video we're going to be making the Wayfarer II Backpack. This is an amazing new pattern that's just been released. You can buy it as a set. This is the backpack, and then there has two totes for it. This is the video just for the backpack. There will be another video for the tote option. So with the backpack, as you can see, it's a big bag. You have a front or back, this is front zipper pocket with a slip pocket inside. On the back you have proper padded backpack straps with a back pocket that goes all the way through. And then inside you have another really big zipper pocket, and then you have two slip pockets. And this is a huge backpack. On one side you can have elasticated, and the other side you've got a slip pocket, so you can choose. You can have one of each, or you can do two of the same, whatever you want. It's a great backpack, and because I've done it in cotton and it's done with fleece, when you're not using it, it folds up quite small, which is always a bonus to me when I've got lots of bags. So I hope you enjoy watching this tutorial. Please stay tuned and watch the video. Thanks so much. Right, bye. Okay, so we are going to do our backpack straps. Oh, my bin's just fallen over. So I'm going to cut it out of webbing. You're going to cut the 5 pieces that to the length that are required, and then as we're using webbing, we're just going to melt the ends. I do apologise for my voice. Hopefully it will hold out. You're just melting the ends because then that stops the ends from running. You can use one of those big clicky things, which I usually do, but they all seem to be out of gas. Going to take your 2 D-rings and we're going to pop the shortest through. I'm going to clip it. I'm going to do the same here as well. And then we're going to take that to the machine, and we're just going to top stitch across those 2 there to keep them in place. Okay, I've changed the camera angle because good old technology, and luckily I realised before I got much further I hadn't switched my camera on. Right, so we're going to make our straps. So when I cut mine out, because you need opposite pairs, when I cut mine out, I fold the fabric right sides together, and then I cut out 2 pieces in one go, and then that will give you the mirror image. So what you then do is you get your D-ring and you just sew it onto the end, and then when you've done that, just with a very small, you're just basting it on, and then we're going to just pin it, clip it round, and then we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and we are going to sew around the outside using seam allowance in the pattern. And I haven't put the foam in yet, as I haven't got iron-on foam. I've only got sewing foam, so I'm going to do it this way. Make sure you're on construction length stitch. And just be careful as you come around here, you can get a little bit tight, so you might need a zipper foot. Right, now I have pinking shears, but if you don't have pinking shears, once you've trimmed down your seam allowance, just do some little clips along where the curves are, and that just helps the fabric to comb around the corners. But I would say one of the main tools that I use a lot in bag making is my pinking shears, especially when you are trying to reduce the bulk. I'm ignoring the D-ring, I'm leaving that there, and I'm not going too close to my stitching so that it's still got some strength on the seams. Now I'm going to grab one of my foams, and I'm going to see if I've cut it is slightly large, so I'm just going to get my scissors and I'm just going to trim a little tiny bit off. On one side. So that should then make that give it a little bit of wriggle room, yeah. Now, this is where I get my hemostats. And I sort of walk down the fabric as much as I can. And then once I can find the D-ring, I try and get the D-ring as close as I can. Where's that? There's a D-ring. Right. Now I've got the D-ring and the fabric, and the vinyl, and I'm just trying to get it started. And then what I'm going to do is try and keep the hemostats closed, and then and get this now. I just want to wiggle take it to the iron, give it an iron, and that's how I do my shoulder straps. I'm afraid I can only show you on one because I did the other one, so yeah, just want to make sure it's down in there. Then we're going to up to our top stitch length, and then just starting here because we can, and we don't have to worry then about having back stitches. We're just going to sew down the sides. Went off a bit there, so let's just go back into that stitch. And we can just cut that bit. Now that's your backpack strap done. So I'll do the other one off camera so it's not, the film's not so long, and then I'll be right back. So that's now both your straps done. We are going to go on to, oh no, I've forgotten, silly me. We need to put in the reinforcement square, just to help give the connector some strength. And Rachel does have a way to show you how to do it really nicely, but I can never remember it. So you see that on both of them. So we're just making sure that we strengthen the connector strap. Hopefully I'm recording this time. No, didn't do that one quite right, Claire. And if you do this in matching thread to what your fabric is, you don't really see this. It's just that I'm using white, so it's really noticeable. And they're not very good, but hey, it's only for one of my boys. And none of us are perfect anyway. We're our own worst critics. Right, so we're going to set those aside and we're going to go on to the next step. Right, so now we're going to want our V piece and our longest strap webbing. So now we're going to get two of our pieces. Make sure we have them in pairs, because quite possibly I didn't, which wouldn't be the first time. Oh, let's see. I'm sure I cut them out. Yes. So that must be, yes. Okay, I did do it right. As you can tell, I've not been great, so it wouldn't surprise me if I'd done it wrong. Right, so now we're going to pop one of our pieces. We're going to grab our tape, our webbing, and we're going to leave a tail out of the end, and then we're going to just stitch across the bottom. And then we're going to take our second one hold on, Okay, scrap that one. I need to unpick that one. See, this is, look, my brain's just not working. But at least I realised before I got too far. Hey, if you want a polished video, mine aren't the ones to watch. Right, we'll try again. Right side up. I'm going to pop this across and we're going to stitch it. That's one. And then we're going to take our next set. I'm sure I have got the set. Again, on there we're going to leave a tail hanging out. And it does tell you in the pattern how much to do by. Centre it up. And now we're going to make our pairs. Clip them right sides together. And we're going to sew them together with the seam allowance stated in the pattern. And we are just going to sew here, across and down. We're leaving this bit here. I almost sewed that bit. Can you tell it's one of those days? Back to construction length stitch. Across and down. Now I'm going to come back up and I'm going to go across a few times just below the seam, the first line. My stitching I've just gone on just to reinforce it. I am recording, yeah. I've put you on selfie mode now so I can look up and see. Before I was trying to do it and I couldn't see the screen. I'm just going to go backwards and forwards here a few times. And then we're just going to pull that through. Again, pull it through. And we are going to top stitch and do another box. So we're going to stitch all the way around. We're going to do another box. Not very good, but hey. We're going to do the little box again. can't do it. But if you do it in your matching thread, it won't show. Right, so that's them done. So now we're going to put those to one side, and we are going to go on to the next step. So now we're going to do our exterior back panel. So I do mine slightly different to Rachel in the fact that I use cotton instead of interfacing for my my zipper bit that you sew the square onto. And for me, I do both of my pockets the biggest size because I get really easily confused. So this way I don't have to worry about which piece is which. So we're going to take the lining fabric and we're going to have it facing right side up, and we're going to put our zip on wrong side down. I'm going to take that to the machine and stitch it with the seam allowance in the pattern. Right, so we're just going to sew that down. As you can see, that zipper tape is fraying ever so slightly. So what we're going to do is just, I don't want my scissors, where my blunt ones. Trim it and just singe the ends, and then that stops it from fraying so much. Now we're going to flip it over. We stitch. Sorry. And we're going to take our next piece, again right side up, wrong side down on the zip of the zipper. And we're going to stitch. Now we're going to lift that out again. I don't cut my zip until the end so that I can keep my zipper tab out the way and I don't waste any zipper tape. And then when you've done that, we're going to do the zipper pocket opening. So we're going to want to take our main panel piece A, which is our back panel. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to mark the top and the bottom. I just do a little V. So that now shows the centre. So we are now going to make a vertical mark. Hold on, let's find my ruler. Okay, I've drawn a line between down between the so I've drawn a line between the centre mark. We are now going to measure up the distance from the bottom. I'm going to draw a line. You need to make sure you're using a razorable pen. And now we're going to do another line. Join those two up. To be straight. Yeah, it is. We're going to take our O piece and we're going to... Okay, so I've had a cup of coffee and biscuit, and hopefully my voice will last again now for a little bit longer. Right, so we've drawn our middle line, our line out, and now we're lining our O piece onto the fabric. I'm going to find the middle first. I'm going to add a couple of clips. Right, now we're going to draw. I'm going to make a line draw another line, and now we are going to draw the lines there. Now we're going to take that to the machine and we are going to stitch it. So making sure we go down to construction length stitch. Oh, machine, you're on one of those days, aren't you? Right, I've got some bobbin thread or something caught underneath, and that's why my machine suddenly looks like it's got a mind of its own. So I'm just going to go and sort that out and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've just given it a drop of oil, so hopefully it will be happy again now. There was no thread caught. Now we're going to sew down the other side. Oh, it does help if we have a machine that's threaded properly. Right, so I've just sewed up the other side of that. Now we are going to cut in. You can use your seam ripper here. I'm going to cut down there and then go as close to the lines and the stitches as you can without cutting your stitches. Now you're going to turn it through. And I'm going to finger press that. You can take it to the iron and iron it if you'd like. And this is where, if you've used the interfacing, when you iron it down, it goes nice and flat. Right. So now we are going to put our zipper pull in. Right, so going to want to make sure our zip is at the top and the smaller bit is the top. I know that sounds silly, but in another bag I actually managed to do it the wrong way round. Go me, I'm so clever sometimes. Right. But that was fine. I just had it as a design feature, and it just meant that it was an anti-theft pocket, because you had to pull it up. No such thing as mistakes, the design features. Right, am I going to be able to pull this off? Yes. Second time lucky. Yes. It's so cold here, I've had to put a jumper on. Right, I'm going to turn it over this way. Make sure that's turned. Making sure my zip is up the top. This is where it is easier if you've ironed it, but I'm not going to make my life easier. Right. She says. You've got plenty of pocket space. So you've got space up the top, and you've got space down the bottom. I'm not sure if you can hear the rain falling on my cabin. So now we're going to stitch that in. Right, so when we do this, and I know this sounds really obvious, but I've done this many times myself, which is why I'm mentioning it. You want to make sure the other side is not under your pocket, because there have been a few times I have sewn my pocket into the wrong side. Right. So just checking my zips up the top. Now I'm going to stitch around. Just turn across. Come back up, making sure I've moved my pocket both sides. Now when we get to here, before we turn, I'm going to lift up my foot and I'm going to post my zip through, and then I'm going to turn it, stitch, and then going to grab my scissors. And there we go. Right, so you want to make sure that you put your zip towards this end, and as I don't cut mine before I cut to the bigger size, I always have a bit left over. So I'm just going to get my scissors. I'm just going to trim that. Don't think those are my scissors that work very well. And then what we're going to do is take it to the machine, and we're going to stitch all 3 sides shut. So we're going to make sure that we're not on our lining, our exterior panel. Still making sure our exterior panel is out of the way. And as I've said before, yes, I have sewn the zipper pocket to the outside panel. And there you go. There you have your external back zipper pocket. I do love mot de grange. Right, so now we're going to go on to the next step. Right, so now you're going to need one of your lining A pieces, one of your R pieces, no, both of your R pieces, and they are right sides together, and we are just going to sew all the way around using the seam allowance in the pattern. Oh. Right, so I just cut the corners off so that you reduce the bulk in the corners. It makes it easier to get a nice smooth turned edge. Go and give that a quick press. Right, so giving that a quick press, so now we're just going to top stitch top, now we are going to get our A piece and we're going to find the middle, bottom, the middle at the top, Now I'm going to measure up. Don't start, voice. Where's my pen? Gonna mark up from the bottom and draw a line. And then I'm going to, there it is, put it back, and then I'll know where it is for next time. Fold this in half. And I'm going to line that fold up with the fold that's there. I'm going to take it to the machine. Oh, look, anyone else spot that? My top stitching's on the bottom, not the top. So I'm lining up the two centres and along that line there. I'm going to stick a couple of pins in just to keep it in place while I move it to the machine. Right now I'm at the machine. I'm going to make sure I really do start and stop on the back stitch there. Come down, pivot it. And I back stitch a few times there because it's a stress point. Now you can do whatever you sizes you want with this pocket. You can split it up however you want. I'm just going to eyeball mine. I would suggest, from having past experience, it is worth making the pockets. Otherwise, if you leave them too big and you don't stitch down and divide it somehow, the pocket just falls forward. So now we've done that, we're going to go on to our zipper bit. Okay, we're going to prepare our zipper tabs now. I do these just slightly different, same end goal as Rachel has with hers, but with a few less progresses, just because I struggle. Being dyslexic, numbers and things are not always my friend, so I find it easier doing it this way. So I fold over the tabs the same width as you would be doing it if you were sewing them on. So I put them down. I need to singe the end of my zip. Then I take my zipper tab and I place it inside. The purpose of a zipper tab is to keep your zip out of your seam allowance. So I want to make as much, I don't want too much in there. So then what I do is I take the finished measurement and I pop my clip on, and then I just give it a little tug, and then I put this tab where, right, so I then take my zipper tab I've made and I put it to whatever the length is required for the zip, and then I draw a line, and I know that that is where this zipper tab needs to be. So I'm just going to go a little bit past there, singe it, and then I'm going to place this on here like so. And then we're going to take it to the machine and stitch it, and that is the width that is required. So just take it to the machine. Right, so we're just going to pop that, and oh look, my machine's come unthreaded. We're just going to stitch along there. And we're going to stitch along here. And that's your finished zip. So now we're going to assemble our front exterior. So now we're going to want our two C pieces, our zip that we've done, and our B front top. So now we are going to find the centres of all of the pieces. And because this is zipper tape and I don't cut zipper tape, I'm going to use my Clover Charcoal Choco, whatever pencil. Right, so now we've found our middles, we're going to take our zip and we're going to have our piece C right sides up, and we're going to place the zip face down. We want to make sure that when we close the zip, it's on the left hand side. Well, that's where I like to put it anyway. So we're going to match up our centre marking there with our centre there, and then come along and pin there and there, and then we're just going to ease this into here. And so it just comes slightly past, but that's fine. We're talking tiny bit. Right, so we are if you're not used to working on a curve, we're going to stitch this one first, and we're going to use just a very small seam allowance because we are basting this to the front. So if you're not used to working on curves, this will just give you two pieces to work with each time. And then I'm going to take our lining piece and we're going to line up the centre. I mean, if you can do it, you can do it all in one go. But if you're not confident, do a very small basting stitch, and then we will do the full seam allowance this time. So now we're going to sew it with the full seam allowance. Right, my zip pulls there, so I'm going to open it up and move it out of the way. Bearing in mind I'm coming back to it, so I'm going to lift my foot up and move my zip out of the way. And rather than trying to keep all 3 layers straight, you've just got the 2. So that was right sides together. So now you're going to pull it through. And a top stitch round. Now we're going to take our B piece. Where's the B piece gone? And we are going to take our middle piece. So this is going to sit on there like this. So we're going to have right sides to right sides on the zip. I'm going to just match up the corners. And then we're just gonna ease it round. See, because it's quite a 3D shape, you just got to give it a bit of a wiggle and a jiggle. See, it doesn't feel, but if you give it a pull, you can get it to go. Now we're going to take that to the machine and we're going to stitch that with the seam allowance in the pattern. My zip closed. The seam allowance stated in the pattern. Right, my zip's there, so I'm just going to move my zip out of the way and I'm going to sew round. Bearing in mind I will be coming back up to my zip soon. Now we've got we've done it. So what I'm just going to do is I'm pressing keeping that up, and I'm just pressing this, finger pressing this away because it will form like a 3D pouch. Do not top stitch it yet. So we're going to have our piece that we just added our panel on. So going to match up the 2 lining pieces and the front, the 2 back pieces. So this is right side up with wrong side down. And now we are just going to clip them together. I love the way that zip sits. Right, so now we're going to top stitch this down. We're just going to make sure that the zip is facing this way. So when you look underneath, the zip is pointing that way. And we're going to top stitch across. So this will then seal off the pocket. Now we're just going to baste it all together. Okay, I got a little carried away, so that might be in the seam allowance, but hey, we can always unpick it once it's done. Don't worry if it hasn't quite, you've got some shifting, as long as you've kept the outside. Just cut this excess off. Okay, now you're going to go and put the fleece on both this and the back panel that you've just made. Right, so now we've added our fleece on the back and we've got our nice zipper pocket, and because it's got the fleece on the back, it's not going to fall into the bag. Now we are going to take our top of our bag and we are going to measure the distance required. Oh, I was just going to move the screen up then. So now we're going to get our backpack straps. I couldn't think what they were called then. That's really bad, isn't it? Right. Right. Just checking out towards. So I'm going to pop the outside edge to the edge we just drew, and we're going to clip it. And again, I'm going to clip this one. Right, and now we're going to take it to the machine and we're going to stitch across here. Right, so we're just basting this on at the moment. I'm just going to do that a couple of times. And then come to this one. Now we're going to get our handle piece. We're going to pop it in the middle of backpack straps, and we're going to stitch that across. This is why it's really important that you singe the edges, otherwise it can come unravelled. Now we're going to add our bottom connectors. Right. As you can see, I just moved it round till I found the correct. Because you see that doesn't quite fit, but if you move it this way, it fits in the curve of the pattern. So now we're going to stitch these down. Okay, so now we're going to thread our straps up. So we're going to come up and through on this one. We're going to go through here, put it down. Now we're going to loosen this off, and we're going to come back under through the bar, and then we're going to come back down through and fold over some, and then we're going to stitch it to the side. So you then have your movable clip, and this bit here will just mean it won't unravel. So you're going to take that to the machine. I'm going to stitch that. Again. And that's now your backpack straps done. So now we're going to put that to one side, and that's the outside of your back done. So now we're going to go on to the lining.